Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and another new movie review. Recently, I posted a review of The Amateur, a new spy thriller starring Rami Malek. In that review, I gave my opinion about everything that film did right. Unfortunately, G20 is a movie that is an example of how a movie can get all of those same things wrong. Very wrong. In theory, the story about a rogue group of terrorists comprised of ex-special forces taking over the G20 summit, a summit of the leaders of the 20 largest economies in the world, in order to effect radical change to the system of haves and have-nots, seems like a great idea. A basis for a compelling narrative that can touch upon a lot of nerves, if done right. This film was far from done right. Here's a basic rundown of the plot and some of the things that went very wrong. The US president, played by Viola Davis, also an ex-army member from Fallujah, evades the terrorists at this fortress-like hotel in South Africa, only to turn into Rambo and, with a single Secret Service agent in tow, along with an elderly Korean woman and a middle-aged British prime minister and a 4-foot-tall Italian woman, 60-year-old Viola Davis physically takes on multiple highly trained special forces members who are armed to the teeth. Now, there is the suspension of disbelief when you go to see a film, and then it's just laughable. And this film is laughable. Not in just this way, but in many others. Now, the movie begins and introduces us to the first family by waking up the president at 4 a.m. because her daughter has snuck out of the White House and gone to a party to drink. Apparently, the 17-year-old girl is so smart that she hacked the White House security system that allowed her to walk freely from the most secure building in the world. Not sure how she got through the blanket of motion detectors inside or out, avoided the pressure sensors bored into the ground, snuck past the army of guard dogs and security agents, or eluded the gaze of the snipers that cover the rooftop. But that is what we get. This is followed by the next 20 minutes of the first family, specifically the president and her daughter, talking about how hard their lives are because of their identities. That's right, you can be the most powerful person on the planet, or the most privileged teenager in the world, but still, you're a victim. And that set the tone for the rest of the film. The G20 summit is to take place in South Africa. Why? If you know anything about South Africa right now, it's the land of chaos, but there we are. The summit's security is supplemented by private security, mostly from Australian special forces, who turn out to be the bad guys, because when you really think about bad guys, you think Australia. The movie makes it a point to tell us that these people have all been screened by the US government and they were all cleared. Then, later on, they identify the bad guys because the FBI had a file on the leader. I guess the FBI was not consulted on background checks for this particular event. You know, the thing that the FBI does. But that's how we get to where we get to when Viola Davis starts jumping down from elevator roofs onto groups of special forces and physically besting them. Or having one-on-one fistfights with special forces men who have about 100 pounds of muscle on her. But no worries, at the beginning of the film, we see her doing judo training on the White House lawn, so she's good to go. And never at any time do you feel as if our main character is in any danger. Ever. There's never any tension or conflict or feeling of vulnerability on the part of our protagonist. Therefore, there's no hero's journey. There's no character arc. There's no character development. There's nothing for the audience to latch onto. And if you're still wondering about that first family, it's a good thing that our oppressed 17-year-old is with her mother, because she also eludes the terrorists by scaling buildings. And then, to allow actual US forces into the compound, she hacks into the very sophisticated encryption of the terrorists and fully takes over the digital and security footprint used to stymie the entire world. But the silliness does not stop there. The 4-foot Italian woman, who reveals she is 4 feet tall by taking off her high heels, and by the way, if you like social commentary about how unfair it is that women feel pressured to wear high heels, then this is your movie. There are about 4 instances when the narrative stops, so one of the main characters can make a snide or cynical remark about their footwear. Anyway, the 4-foot Italian woman with the middle-aged Brit get into the Beast, the presidential limo, and drive through the gates to safety while being blown up by missiles. Multiple missiles. The Beast flips over violently in midair about 7 times while on fire, and when it lands upright, the 2 passengers are still in their seats and just fine, no problem. Look, I get it. The Beast is designed to withstand a lot of punishment, but the people inside are still people. Those 2 should have been scrambled like eggs. Now, back to the terrorists. The leader of the group, Rutledge, has the first gentleman tied to a chair, which brings the US president to him. But he should have been more worried about the South Korean 75-year-old first lady who sneaks up on him from behind and stabs him at the base of the skull with a piece of broken glass. Now, normally when the medulla oblongata is damaged just a little bit, you'd lose your life. But not Rutledge. He's fine to continue terrorizing, kidnapping, and then losing another fistfight with the US president before falling to his death. These are but the mere highlights. Almost every scene has some sort of ridiculous action or dialogue included in it, and as you watch the movie, you just keep asking yourself, how did the producers or the director come to the conclusion that they were making good choices, good decisions? And in the end, it is one of those movies that, after watching, leaves me with the thought, what were they thinking? And that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. As always, I'm still your reluctant gringo from somewhere south of the border. Salud, and a huevo.